At the airport in Savannah. It's real pretty, too. I'm probably one of the few people on the planet that I had somebody there like, I can take you to the airport in, an hour. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll go ahead and go. I love the airport. I like watching people in the airport. I learn about fashion in the airport. I watch people. I admire. I notice. I giggle. I talk. I love to talk to people in the airport. Like just now, I spent a long time talking to TSA, and I ask a lot of questions. So the TSA explained to me something, which is good. I like to understand how things work. And in Raleigh, the TSA was very strong. They have all these rules, like you cannot have your license in your pocket. Well, I didn't want to be seen as a troublemaker, so I asked the TSA person here, are you allowed to have your license in your pocket? Yes. I said, well, how come you're not in Raleigh? She said, well, some things are airport specific. I said, you mean some people have more of a power grab than others? She said, yeah. I said, see, that's good for me to know. But she said, some machines require you to put your iPad in another bin and some machines don't. I didn't know that. So you know what? I've realized there's some fashion things happening that I didn't know about. My dress is from Downtown Diva, Edenton Fashion. People are like, who's she talking to? One fashion thing that I've noticed, it's black leggings, which I don't wear leggings because I have never been cold in my life. They wear black leggings and then they wear tube socks over their leggings. I mean, if I wore that, I would have to be like Pa Ingalls in a haystack in a blizzard to want to wear that many clothes. I love how sociable you are. Oh, I'm sociable. So I just gave a talk for the Matthew Reardon Center for Autism in Savannah. It was fantastic. Please interview somebody about their wardrobe. I'm just afraid to. Well, one, I'd have to ask them. And two, the people that I want to interview, I'm afraid somebody might think I'm being mean. Like the tube socks. Because I sort of am. The Matthew Reardon Center for Autism is Savannah. And it is an amazing place. And they didn't have school today and they don't have school tomorrow. And then the teachers go to this conference and they earn credit hours for different events. I wonder if anybody got any hours for me. I bet they did. And there were parents there, teachers, administrators, grandparents, a priest and his wife. It was really nice. Okay, I'll look for somebody to interview. I really enjoyed it. And you know what is sort of nice about it that's different is that when you belong to a special person, it changes you. And you don't have conversations where you're not thinking of, can I tell this? Can I not tell this? How do I say this? I don't want to make Amos sound bad. I don't want to make it sound good. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. It's always measured, right? Always. Well, when you're at a conference like this, all bets are off. It's like being at fat camp and you're fat, right? And the day before fat camp, you all... I'm just making this up. But in my mind, if I were going to go to fat camp, the day before I'd be like, let's all go to Pizza Hut and we're going to eat a bunch of pizza and we're all fat. Well, everybody's going to get their own pizza. They're going to get a couple Cokes. Like nobody's going to worry. Like people are looking at me and what I'm eating, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's kind of how it is when you're a mom of a child with a disability. You're always measured. And today I had 10 conversations with people, and I didn't have to measure what I was saying. I didn't have to alter what I was saying. I didn't have to dilute what I was saying. I didn't have to carefully consider how it sounded, what I was saying. I just said whatever the hell I wanted, and I didn't worry about it. And nobody cared. They just laughed, and it wasn't a big deal. You know, things like self-harm and aggression, deep, dark subjects that are, you know, the real world does not. They're like, la, 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 la. I don't want to hear about that. And I don't blame them. I don't think I would have wanted to hear about it either. But we need to be able to talk about it. And we need to be able to listen to each other. And we need to be able to laugh about it. And cry. And not cry or have people be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Be like, oh, I'm fine. Just cried a minute, then I'm good. You know? And it might sound strange. It's so freeing when you can be your authentic self. Yeah, I guess so. And I mean, I think most people would not accuse me of not being my authentic self. But I don't realize how much I am guarded myself until I'm in a setting like that and realize how freeing it is. It's really enjoyable. That's a new word. Enjoyable. That might be the name of my book. Enjoyable. There's a bunch of Girl Scouts here. I mean, this is sort of awesome. But they're women. They're grown-up Girl Scouts. Oh, they're leaving. That's too bad. Ooh, and they have where one person would keep a water bottle in her backpack. She has a bucket of Pringles. It's awesome. Yeah, enjoyable. So, anyway, I just really enjoyed it. It's so nice to... And the other thing is, there are all these teachers there and administrators. And, you know, unlike me, they chose to work with a group of people with disabilities. I didn't. I did not choose. This was not the road I had for myself. I was thinking more like somebody that played t-ball and maybe, you know, rode a bicycle and annoyed me. I wasn't thinking about autism. And these teachers all went out of their way to work with people like my son Amos. And so no wonder they're nice people. They chose this path, and I didn't. So in some ways, they're smarter than I am. Savannah is the home of the Girl Scout. How do y'all know stuff like this? Y'all watch too much Jeopardy. I know, everybody knows. You know? I mean, I talked to a grandfather who was a priest and a woman who lost a child and just wept. A mother who's very alone and gets notes home from school. Notes like, well, your child is in other people's space, or notes like, your child is, you know, bothering people. I mean, I said to her, I tell you what, I'd rip those notes off and I wouldn't think another thing about it. So then you have parents, and then you have these educators there who would never send a note like that. And you're like, wow, it's so interesting to see the two beside each other. You have one group that is embracing autism, and you have another group who is fighting against it. And how do you bring that group to the other side, you know? I don't know. I think by talking and sharing and thinking is good. It's just really enjoyable. Really enjoyable. And if you have a friend or you have a student in your class, I had one mother, or not mother, an administrator. She said, how can we support families? And I said, you know, that's an interesting question. I said, my school has done a really nice job at supporting me, and I also advocate for myself, and I value that some people can't advocate or don't know how. So I would want to encourage you to not depend on the mother to tell you, but like, Like I might say to a teacher, can you send me a text in the day or a photo of Amos? Like that makes such a difference for me to get a picture of him smiling or playing. Like it really makes my whole day. Or offer your cell number. And I promise you we're not going to harangue you. But just let me have your cell number so I can text you and be like, the other day I texted Amos's teacher and said, Amos has gotten in his head that he wants to go visit his teacher from last year. And I meant to text his teacher from last year. He was like, Amos is going to Miss Brandy's. And I texted her. Well, like an hour or two later, she was like, he told me, I told him we'd find a time. I realized that if 24 mothers texted the teacher every day, it would be too much. But I tell you what, when I had typical kids, I wasn't bothering those teachers because I didn't need them the way that I need them now, you know? Being honest and joyful is so awesome. Thank you for oh. Well, I just was so impressed with this group of teachers and administrators. And I said, you know, one thing that I've always really appreciated in my school district is that Amos is not a number. And so when we got his autism diagnosis, we were up at Columbia University and we met with this geneticist, Dr. Chung. And she said the most important thing you can do for Amos is be PTA president. And I was like, what you talking about, Willis? PTA president? Like, I was PTA president. And I thought, I'm not gonna, I need to get off of this. I don't have time. And she said, because it will always make sure that Amos is seen in a person. And he has never been a number. He's never been student 497. He is Amos Wood. And people know him and love him. And I don't think it's just because of PTA president, but I think when you're active and involved and take interest or have the ability to spend some time at school, it goes a long way because teachers need to feel loved and supported too. We'd like to think that they don't, but they do. Just like parents do, just like wives, spouses do. You know, everybody wants to hear at some point like, boy, you're doing a great job. One tiny little bit to perk you up, you know? So I remember years ago, we would get these psychology reports, and they were just debilitating. And they were everywhere. Everywhere you turned around, you had to fill one out. So you'd go to the pediatrician, and you'd have to fill out this long questionnaire. And every answer that I filled these out for 3 kids. So, I mean, I'm used to these forms. Does so-and-so wave? Do they blow bubbles? Do they have 12 words? And you're going through and you're saying, no, no, no. And with every no, you are melting. It's just so sad. Oh my gosh, I'm not leaving from Charlotte until 9:30. I hate American Airlines today. And then you'd go to school, and I remember reading like, so-and-so is functioning at a 4-month-old level. And I would just be so sad. And I remember saying to my school system, okay, after I'd done this once, let me tell you something. I got something I need to know. I need to get this report at least a day before the IEP meeting. Because if you hand me this report in the IEP meeting, I'm going to be a wreck. Just like you wouldn't say, come for a meeting at school, and as you walk in the meeting, somebody say, well, your husband's having an affair and wants a divorce. Now sit down and let's talk. You'd be like, what? It's the same thing. So I said, I'm going to need the report ahead. And then I'm going to need to talk through the report with somebody ahead. And as time went on, I learned I want to go ahead and talk about the hard parts in the IEP meeting in meetings before the IEP meeting. So that when the IEP meeting happens, everything is diffused, right? There's no sucker punches. There's no fighting. There's no nothing. And I remember asking our psychologist, could we go out to lunch and discuss the report? And she was like, sure. And we had a soda shop. We went to lunch, and I read things that made me feel really sad, but she was calm and nice, and we had a sandwich and a sweet tea, and we enjoyed lunch together. And it made the meeting so much better. And I tell you, the world should be like that. And I realize some places are big, and people might say, well, we don't have time to go out to lunch with everybody. Well, you know what? Not everybody is going to ask you. So before you thinking you're really popular and you tell a parent no, say yes. Say yes. And I know it might be out of your comfort zone, but I promise you in 30 years, you're going to be able to say, you know what? I was ahead of the game, because that is how we're moving. We have got to think of families as vulnerable people that we need to protect and their children.
Please check the number service at General Organized Number Paul, Passenger 2, Baltimore. Passengers should be on their way to Gate 9 at this time.
Anyway, so it's really nice to talk to administrators and teachers who wanted to be there and wanted to learn. We hired an advocate to help us get through all the paperwork. You know, and I see that, but when you live in a place like I do, and I think a lot of people live in small school districts, it's not feasible. And it doesn't even make sense, because you want the school system to love you and accept you and see you as an advocate for them, right? You don't want to create problems, because there's no going to another school. No, it's just the best chance. Anyway, I had a wonderful spring lunch prepared when the public school preschool admins came for a site visit. Oh, well, that's a good idea, Phyllis. Oh, I love that. And I tell you, and I'm not going to say everything's been perfect. I mean, I have had a few people that slapped my hand good and hard. Not literally, but figuratively. You know, I offered an olive branch and they set it on fire. And I tell you what, it hurts. It hurts. It makes you mad and sad and angry when you offer and you want to connect with somebody and they ain't connecting. And maybe they're not connecting in the name of rules or laws or procedures, but I tell you what, don't ever be that person. And I was that person. You know, years ago when I was training to be an early interventionist, and I told this story today, I had a family and their son is his first, he just turned 1. Yeah, I'm wearing a dress from Downtown Diva in Edenton. Downtown Diva on Facebook. Yes, and I put my earrings in my Instagram story so people could see them. That's my next door neighbor. Makes these earrings. Kim's handcrafted jewelry. Oh, I love them. I love them. Or like them. You can't love things that can't love you back. But, oh, that's perfect, Karen. Send it home in a week in advance. Exactly. But, now what was I saying? I'm gonna forget. Slapping your hand back. But just trust me and say yes. And years down the road, we're going to be like, wow, that's what people were supposed to do. Yeah, if somebody offers you an olive branch, take it. Oh, I know. So I had this family, and the child had a seizure on Christmas Day. He was 1. And from that point on, he began having hundreds and hundreds of seizures a day. Very difficult. They could not get them under control. So he had gone from this chatty, walking toddler to this little person who had lost really all his skills. And my boss at the time did not want me to get involved emotionally with them. And I think she was coming at it from a place that I'm talking about, like on a school level of like, I'm an administrator and you're a parent, and we're going to keep this wall up between us because we're professional and that's what we do. And those two things cannot mix. So we could be friends on the outside, but we're not going to be friendly and professional at the same point, because that's a blurred line and those are not allowed. So she just didn't want me to get involved. And so I backed off. And, I've wondered where that family was. 25 years later, what happened to him? Is he... Oh. His name is Calvin. Calvin. Gosh, I forgot. Calvin. Where is Calvin? And what could I have done that maybe would have helped them? And granted, I was just listening to my superior, but what I should have said to her is, no, maybe I'm not going to be here for them in 10 years, but I'm here right now. And I can listen, and I can offer an olive branch, and I can be here for them in this moment that I'm here. The same way that Amos has had a teacher for a year has been his person. The next year we're on with a different teacher, but that's okay. It still was wonderful to have that teacher for the year, And I think we have to shift our thinking. So, anyway.
The Southwest Airlines flight 744 service to Baltimore. Passengers should be on their way to Gate 9 at this time.
So, when I was in the Charlotte airport, they did one of these announcements. This is in the Charlotte airport, which is huge. And they said, attention passengers, if you've lost an item, come to gate C4. An item. Well, at that point, I'm like, have I lost an item? Where's my license? Where's my credit card? Did I lose a suitcase? I mean, do you think anybody went to any C4? They need to say, like, jewelry or an electronic or a suitcase. Like, give a little hint. Did you lose cell service? I have no idea, because I didn't have my phone because I was working. So I have no idea if I lost it or not. If I did, I didn't even miss it. Shocker. Okay, I think I might look for people to interview. Pay your bill. Yes, I paid my bill. I've been known not to pay my electric bill. Oh, actually, they're in my bag. I have not paid it. It's not due yet till March 5th. Trust me. The utility company doesn't give any olive branch. They call you and they're like, we're going to cut off your electricity because it's 8 minutes late. It's so dramatic. I mean, it's so dramatic. How in the world did you find that chair? There's 2 of them, and I got 1. What I should do is just turn my camera around, but then people will be like, you're mean. I'm not going to. Carry on, people. And thanks for listening. And anyway, it's my kindness knowledge for the day.